What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here, welcoming you to part 65 and the very last part of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Archaon the Everchosen Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, the last episode, the entirety of the semi-final episode, our penultimate episode, was dedicated to Khorne, as Kuhar the Blood Hunter, Demahar Crowbrother, and Valkia the Bloody did challenge and defeat all challengers. Valkia in particular with a tough battle against Teclis's army. Basically the entire faction of the Order of Lore Masters stood against Valkia and was struck down. 'Twas a beautiful sight, and we've got a few more beautiful sights to see in this particular episode. So, and this is how we're going to do it. Since let's say maybe the vast majority of the, maybe not the vast majority of the campaign, but a lot of the campaign was dedicated to Nurgle, and the last episode was dedicated to Khorne. We definitely have to get at least one Tzeentch and at least one Slaaneshi battle here at the end. To take the place of Tzeentch will be Chant, our flyer army. Sadly, we couldn't quite get these guys to evolve into Doom Knights, and instead we'll get him some extra dragons and a couple manticores instead, just to go fully into the whole flyer thing, and it is still the Demon Prince of Tzeentch to round out the battle at the Temple of Skulls. Siggy will take the place of Slaanesh, mostly because he's given me so many laughs throughout this campaign, and I feel like it's only appropriate to laugh just a little bit more. Archie is approaching Nagashazar, where he will have his final battle, and then we'll hopefully get these guys to sally out of Zlatlan and attack Samoth Painbringer in the field. I'd really prefer field battle over a settlement battle here, and we'll see if we can make it happen. No guarantees, of course. I was maybe thinking about having Kolek fight this, but honestly, it's mostly skinks, and a lot of it is tier 1, and it's really not worth fighting. I think the Sigvald battle is a little bit more worth it, and let's face it, Kolek's gotten a lot of screen time throughout this campaign, and how many times do you need to see the Dragon Ogres absolutely obliterate basic units like this? No losses even to the auto-resolve, and basically no damage, so yeah. We'll just keep it like that and allow Samoth Painbringer the much better battle against the Skink Auxiliaries and the elite garrison here. Ooh, they even have a Feral Carnosaur. Nice. I'm really hoping they sally. Alright, well, in terms of what battles we gotta fight, let us start, I guess. Chant or Siggy? Chant or Siggy? I'm gonna say Siggy. I wanna see him run one more time. Shouldn't be too difficult of a fight, but, you know, he's gotta provide us a Slaaneshi battle, so that he will.
So be it.
Alright, here we go, folks. It's the final battle of the final episode for Slaanesh, and Sigvald is certainly, I can't even catch the camera up to him, is certainly not missing leg day. He's so far from the rest of his army. Oh my lord, it's just fantastic. Well, the rest of his army will follow him then, but he's going directly for that enemy lord if he can make it, while we set up the knights over on the side to hopefully get a little bit of action for themselves as well. And this is why I decided to have Sigvald participate in this last battle, as I just find this too funny. Now, alright, well, looks like he manages to weave his way through the troops, protecting the enemy lord, pops that reflection of beauty, and holds the enemy lord Irenanar in place, which will allow him to hopefully get his duel. In the meantime, we charge in with the Chaos Knights of Slaanesh with the lances, including the named Rigid Rods, who unfortunately don't have enough mass to push through the Saurus or through the cold ones here. Feral cold ones, I should say, but that's alright. They can keep in place for a little while and do a little bit of damage while our sword and board Slaaneshi Knights move on in and start ripping apart some of those units of skinks before hitting the enemy units here in the back. Looks like we're taking shots as well as the enemy is targeted the Knights with its Basti with Solar Engine, and we certainly have to watch out for that. Looks like the Solar Engine has done a fairly decent number on the Rigid Rods in particular. With the Temple Guard, I'm sure, having taken their charge, helping out quite a bit with their anti-large and armor piercing. We're going to back these guys off until the Temple Guard and other units here are distracted by the Sword and Board Knights, the Cavalcade of Obscenity, and the Serpent's Bite before we loop around and cycle charge right back into the Temple Guard. Sigvald is still dueling the enemy lord out here, who's down to about 40% HP, and though he has called his coterie of Croxagors and other units to help, I don't think that's going to be enough. Some pretty cool shots here. I always like the wooded territories that are sort of like a mix between light and dark. And of course, that's not the only thing happening. Quickly following Sigvald were the Mirror Guard, who he sent in by themselves to start the battle. They've already gotten 21 kills and 13k damage, while the rest of the army waits and watches, and just a little bit, under the orders from Sigvald and his guard. And these guys are going to whack away at the enemy for a little bit, and then we're going to send the rest of our army to join the fray as well. Alright, and the Mirror Guard are pretty great models as well. Anyway, looks like Sigvald has defeated the enemy lord, who drops down to about 15% HP, though it looks like the help that he called for has surrounded Sigvald, so he's probably going to be stuck killing these guys for a while. He should maybe pump those legs a little bit and try to jump over the enemy or something. The Knights continue to fight here relatively unsupported, but, well, it's not like we care about casualties or anything like that at this point in the game, so we can sort of play even more in a way that just makes the battle look a little bit cooler. And I do like watching those Chaos Knights towering over the skinks and swinging down with their swords and their lances. In the meantime, we've also sent in our other units, chosen of Slaanesh and Chaos Warriors, moving in to back up the Knights, and by hitting this blob of enemies in the back, while over the entire rest of the enemy front line, and the rest of our melee troops have joined the fray as well. Some here have surrounded an enemy Ancient Salamander, and it's not going to be too crazy strong in melee against them, so it will be brought down quite shortly, I'm sure, especially rampaging as it is. Getting a nice rear charge from the enemy into our troops and by the Pterodon Riders, but they're still a very fragile unit, and that's just not going to work against Chosen or Chaos Warriors. We have the damage and the enemy do not. We also have the speed and maneuverability, but we don't really even need to leverage it here in this particular battle, as we're fine. Looks like Sigvald is no longer surrounded right in the middle of that, and as soon as the enemy, or as soon as the infantry arrived to help the Knights, most of the enemy infantry, and decided to break, gonna get another charge right through them as best we can. Make sure that none of them come back, and getting plenty of air on the poor little skinks. There we go. Once again, got to love the mobility that this army offers. I think the interesting thing about the Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh armies is that they have the benefits of the Slaaneshi Demon faction, in that they're also really, really fast, but they don't have the drawbacks of being incredibly fragile. And by comparison, especially our ludicrously armored Chaos Warriors, who run as fast or faster than Demonettes, but also have insane amounts of armor as well. Well, Chosen and the Chaos Warriors 296 armor. Yeah, it's pretty darn good. Certainly something with 296 armor, running at 59 speed and having 80 melee defense on top of that, with a silver shield and armor-piercing damage, is pretty darn solid. Pretty darn solid indeed. Anyway, with that, the battle ends, and this is a settlement battle, so we don't have to chase them down. Bid farewell to Sigvald and his never-ending leg days. Alrighty, very nice. He's a very quick fella. And so ends the last battle of Sigvald, and not a difficult one by any means, but he had plenty of time to screw around on Ulthuan, and, he came all the way here, and he should have at least gotten one battle. It's only fair. We are going to occupy it, and since it's the last battle, let's read out the names of the units after this. Edgelord Hudakai, then we have the Incubi, Aspiring Champions, Thunder Freaks, Blades of Decadence, Marvelous Maulers, the Rigid Rods, a Cavalcade of Obscenity, and the Serpent's Bite. Fantastic job to all of you. Also, since we're done with Kolek as well, he had Cormac Moongorger, the Rumbling, the Ancient Emir, Altar of the Cracked Rock, Skykeeper, the Thunderous Host, the Primordials, Scaled Scourge, the Stormclad Horde, Fallen Star Beasts, and the Jaws of Chaos, Armored Chaos Trolls. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Alrighty, now, Chant, it is your turn, my friend. I don't believe you have named the units, as I recall, mostly because you're one of the new armies, and most of the names went to the older, more established armies, which is only fair. But you are going to have to establish yourself right now with this battle. Pyrrhic victory, casualties high. We've certainly seen the Flyers be fragile before, and we definitely would prefer to have them in a field battle, but now we got all these extra dragons, and since we haven't seen the dragons do too much throughout the campaign, we may as well watch them do some here. We are going to give the Lichbone Pendant to one of the Manticores, as they don't have magical damage themselves. I want the Blasted Standard probably on the Lord, or the Banner of Rage on the Lord. That's an interesting question. No, I'm still gonna go Blasted Standard. I want the Missile Block chance. It's dangerous otherwise. Let's pop the Banner of Rage on you, sir. Banner of Eternal Flame on the Golden Griffin of Theurgy. Banner of Swiftness with that Perfect Vigor, I think, on... actually work fairly well on you as well, but let's put it on the Doom Knights. And actually, no, you know what? I lied. Let's put it on one of the Dragons. Now, the Doom Knights are too fragile. I will put the Rampager Standard, however, on the Doom Knights in case they need to charge quick and in case they need to get away. Go. All right, did Chant even say anything? I only heard like ah or something. I don't know if he actually said anything pre-battle, but I guess it doesn't matter all that much. Maybe he's just happy to be in his Demon Prince form, and he is not so great at speaking with the beak yet. You gotta get used to the beak. After all, he didn't have one before, and it's gotta be, well, you gotta probably learn that thing. Anyway, here we go. We have a lot of these additional Chaos Dragons added to this particular army. It's completely unnecessary once again, but, well, this army didn't have them in here up to now, and I figure for the final battle for them, we should enjoy the Great Chaos Dragons a little bit more, especially as they're powerful units that we haven't really been relying on because they haven't been necessary, so give them a little bit more of a showcase, I suppose. Anyway, enemy has quite a lot of units to contend with. We are going to send the unit of Knights of Immolation, our Doom Knights, to destroy the enemy tower, while the Screamers, which are fairly decent at it, start annoying the enemies up on top of the walls. And look at all those flyers coming over the battlements. Gotta be depressing to have a wall that should hold off enemies, only for the entire enemy army to be made up of flyers. Real unfortunate. Anyway, the Great Chaos Dragons Dragons are going to start off by getting those Chaos Dragon Breaths down, and mostly on poor little piles of skinks, but, well, what can you do? They're the closest targets, and we gotta get the Chaos Dragon Breaths in and before the, oh my lord, before we touch down and start fighting. A bloody end for probably hundreds of skinks like that. And there we go. Alright, very, very nice. The dragons can now touch down all together. Our flyers will start by targeting this Basti with Reviv Crystals. Certainly can't be leaving this thing around, and we can certainly mob it before separating the rest of our units. The Lord of Change, or not the Lord of Change, the Demon Prince has joined our Screamers up on top of the walls. Just have to have the Screamers do a little bit of work by themselves, since they haven't really been the, they haven't really gotten a spotlight for them as much in this particular army or campaign. Mostly because they're either always together with the Doom Knights, or they are, well, very fragile, and unlike the rest of our units, have a tendency to get trapped. And that's alright though. Looks like the enemy Basti with Reviv Crystal has been destroyed, and those units that were protecting it and were around it get absolutely crushed. A enemy hero has rushed in, but I think it's just going to die there. Now, we can peel away Chant, our Demon Prince, to start looking towards killing off a few more enemies, maybe even find himself a duel with the enemy Lord, while dropping a little bit of spellwork as he can. And there is the enemy Lord. Well, well, well. A Gaze of Fate will keep him in his place. And these two can fight each other. Of course, the enemy Lord does have plenty of units waiting up above on top of the ramp, but Chant can cast a few spells up here. For example, the opening the gate of Tzeentch upon the enemy, and wait, let me see where it is here. Infernal Gateway, whatever. Opening this thing, and with the massive amount of armor-piercing damage that it deals, that'll hopefully easily deal with any units that try to charge on through. Alright, the duel continues, and looks like the enemy Lord has lost about 15% of his HP. All the while probably hearing the screams of his troops and dying under that Infernal Gateway behind him. And as soon as the Infernal Gateway ends, we pop the Gehenna's Golden Hounds right on top of it to clear those units that still remain. I have to wonder how much damage that dealt. We're up to 317 kills and 52k damage on Chant, all while, of course, continuing his duel. Unfortunately, two of our Great Chaos Dragons here, they just got trapped. I don't know how they managed to get trapped on the ground like this, but they can't move, they can't lift off, they can't do anything. So we're going to have to deal with the rest of this without them. Not the biggest of deals, a little bit annoying, but we have 3 more Chaos Dragons where that came from. The Doom Knights will do a little bit of flying around and a little bit of bombarding of their own as they drop their spell bombs down upon the enemy skinks and take off about half of their HP, while the dragons go after whatever they can find. And at this point, I'm just separating our forces a teensy bit so that they all have their own chances to shine and get the spotlight. Down here, it looks like the enemy Lord is pretty much done for and is booking it away from Chant, who will hopefully execute him here. Hey, hit him, he's right there, dude, no. Alright, it looks like the enemy Lord will book it on out of the gate. Well, what can you do? Our Cockatrice is hanging around with our Lords of Change and our Manticores, fighting any enemy Temple Guard and Saurus that they run into. Gotta be careful with the Cockatrice, as it is relatively fragile, but the Manticores and Lords of Change, not so much. The Chant got a little bit annoyed that the enemy Lord decided to book it on out of there, but that's just fine. A Blue Fires of Tzeentch should take care of that. And the Blue Fires rips the head off the enemy Lord. Ouch. I'd like to think it just disintegrates his entire body and only his head remains. Out here, the Doom Knights, together with the Screamers, have entered another fight. Once again, just giving some time for these units to shine. Fighting under the final transmutation as well, which was massively damaging the enemy melee defense, such that the Doom Knights and Screamers could do their damage quickly. Out here, it looks like the Chaos Dragons have been joined by Chant, who no longer has a duel before him. And now it's just a matter of bringing down whatever few enemy units remain. Alright, love those multicolored Chaos Dragon breaths as well. And here we go, we are blobbed up, but you know what, with bigger units or single entity units like this, dropping vortexes like Gehenna's Golden Hounds on our own hardly matters. It just allows us to mince the infantry faster. This is a Tzeentch flying, feathered, scaled, magical blender, and that's the way it should look, after all. And there we go, the Chaos Dragons destroy their reptilian cousins. The balance of power shifts to about 95% in our favor, and we just got a few more units to clear out with the Screamers and the Doom Knights, and the battle will be ours. Looks like these Saurus were moving southward to join those little skinks that were being obliterated by these flyers, but it wasn't enough, and the enemy army shatters, and the battle is ours. Lovely. A decisive victory for Chant, and certainly a great showcase for both Chant himself and, well, frankly, every unit got a chance here, except possibly the Manticores, which were kind of overshadowed, but we've had Manticores be the stars of several other armies, so no need. Alright, and there you have it, the army doing absolutely massive amounts of damage. The extra Chaos Dragons perhaps a little bit unnecessary, but hey, Tzeentch forced two of them to get stuck and do nothing for most of the battle, so you know what? It all worked out. The Dragons got 52k damage, 65k damage, nearly 50k damage, though a lot of that came from their double uses of their Chaos Dragon breaths, and Chant, our Demon Prince of Tzeentch, in his proper debut battle, let's say, got 574 kills and over 100,000 damage. Very, very appropriate and good, sir. Very nice. We're gonna occupy the place, and, well, frankly, there's not a lot of places to take left. Let's see, Serpent Coast, Cursed Jungle, Teotihuacan, most of these will probably be auto-resolvable. The Order of Lore Masters are gone. I don't know what happened to Krokgar. He should still be here, because we haven't fought him. I certainly haven't auto-resolved him. Hopefully he didn't just decide to randomly sail somewhere with his main stack. I'm just hoping that he's sitting right there at the Temple Avenue of Gold, waiting for a final battle with us. Now, Sammoth Banebringer, we're going to end the turn. We're going to hope that the enemy hits us, so we're going to skip, and turn, and see. Also, I forgot whether I moved Archaon, but I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, at the end of the day, an extra turn or so won't make any kind of difference. Down to 47 factions on the map, and the vast majority of them are our vassal. 46 now. Alright, first of all, Archie, how close be ye? You are not quite close enough. Alright, one more turn and you'll be able to hit them. Of course, you'll be fighting last as a confederation between Last Defenders and Zlatlan. Oh, that's interesting. And you little cowards! How dare you? They ran away. Oh, I wanted them to sell it. They had 2 stacks and they didn't want to fight our... Well, I don't want to say our weakest army because it's performed very well in the past, but oh, come on. Now it's close victory with medium casualties only. They have no chance against this. I can't believe they ran away. And this army is just full of skinks. It's just the garbage units that are not worth fighting. Alright, well, it happens. I should have just... I should have just... A moment. You know what? We're not missing out on Sammoth's battle. We are definitely not. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a quick cut, and then I'm going to go back and redo the end of that turn so that we can get the so that we can get that fight. I think it'll be worth it, because Samoth, I love his army, I love his hell cannon, and the Undivided army should definitely get its final battle here, so... It had to be done, folks, it had to be done. At least this way we can fight both of these armies with Samoths at once. Go one more time, sir. Alright, here we go. Our black armored chaos undivided army slash artillery army with the presence of all these chaos dwarfs together with the regular chaos warriors. I really love this army, both in terms of its look and the way that it functions. Who needs regular range units when we have piles of hell cannons instead? Anyway, the bombardment is going to take some time. I'm going to break down that gate with a Shatterstone while the towers bring down the enemy towers with hell cannon fire. Fortunately, the hell cannons have plenty of ammunition, and they can continue destroying enemies long after the towers have collapsed. And a 1 and 2. There we go. I was like, wait a second, there should be one more. And there it is. Alright, you guys, it's a little overkill. Who knows, there could be something still in the ruins of those towers. Anyway, now it's time to fire down upon the enemy units. Fortunately, the arcs of the hell cannons are pretty darn solid, and they're pretty darn good to this sort of thing. Also, this lighting is really doing it for me in this particular battle. It's a dark map, but everything is nice and visible, kind of like the night maps in the desert tend to be. I wonder why some night maps are so much darker than others. But anyway, hardly matters. The Soul of Damnation is, as usual, most likely out of the hell cannons to be the lead, as in do the most damage, especially considering it has significantly more range at 499 compared to 446. Maybe not significantly, but it's certainly counted in the past. Alright, and we still haven't entered the enemy city, but once again, this army was built to be essentially protecting the artillery pieces while they did the damage. This is why I was kind of hoping that we'd be able to fight these armies, these armies on the field. Which is why we ended the turn. I expected them all to sally out and attack this army on the field rather than have to do this to them. But it looks like this is what we're doing. A Searing Doom is going to come down. Once again, we've learned throughout the campaign that it's the perfect spell to knock out a single 5000 HP platform, and A, stop it blocking our own units, and B, allow it to... damage the units, rather, upon it. Getting a little bit of damage in those walls. We could knock down a few more walls should we desire to, but at the same time, this is sort of a byproduct as we are targeting some of the units directly behind them. Fortunately, the arc is just a little bit too shallow, and most of the shots will miss, but we still have plenty of ammunition. In fact, we're still at about 75%. Of course, there's still plenty of enemy troops to go around, but that's alright. Anyway, just keep on firing, and if you make a few more breaches, well then, that'll work nicely for us. Looks like one of our Iron Demons has arrived and has started to fire through the breach at some of the enemies there. Very nice. And if they want, they could try to go after it, but our Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives and our Chaos Warriors are out there, so good luck with that. Move into the shadow of the breach only for the aspiring champions to meet you. That's not a troop you want to meet down a dark alley, especially with an Iron Demon behind them. And of course the rest of our Chaos Warriors. Now I have kept our our Chaos Warriors with halberds back, guarding our artillery battery. I was thinking that the enemy might use the Feral Cold One summons upon us, but it looks like in this particular battle there are no Feral Cold One, or the enemy army does not have that particular ability. I really should have checked if they did. Anyway, a Pit of Shades does some damage to some skinks, and probably a little bit to the Saurus as well, as they continue clustering around the breach and not letting us through. But that's okay, a little bit of spell work will work just fine. Our flyers, our Lord, Hero, and both heroes are working on bringing down the towers, as all three have Manticore mounts. And there we go, very nice. I like how they all have weapons that glow a different color, and hey. Another tower firing upon us from somewhere. But I'm sure we'll be just fine. Well, it's time for another Pit of Shades upon the enemy. If the enemy wants to keep clustering around the breach and or the gate like this, we're certainly going to keep dropping this spell, and I absolutely love Pit of Shades. Gotta love unmoving vortexes. The vortexes that can't screw you over, Purple Son of Zeraeus, by constantly moving away, Purple Son of Zeraeus, from where you're trying to cast them, or the ideal direction. Anyway, while that's all happening, we're going to do a classic move with the Fire Glaze by sending them up on the walls. I remember in my own Zlatlan campaign, I did this a bunch of times, like a ton of times, especially with the armies that had a lot of blunderbusses and a lot of Fire Glaives, and there were several battles where, like, the entire wall, and it was like a corner wall, so it was like I guess sort of like this, where the entire thing was just full of Fire Glaives and blunderbusses all firing down upon the enemy. Sort of a reverse siege, as I was calling it, in that particular campaign. Was some great times with the Chaos Dwarfs because of that, and I was very fond, or became very fond of the unit, and hearing the pew-pew of those laser sounds because of it. Anyway, gotten some pink horrors on the field. I was just hoping to use them to block the enemy at teensy bit. And the pink horrors are from the Aspiring Champion's Gate of Chaos ability. Anyway, looks like we've summoned some Chaos Spawn to block some enemies off. I specifically used them to block off this Feral Carnosaur here, while the enemy is still behind this platform, but with all the enemies here and us not caring about casualties to our own Chaos Spawn, we can keep firing the Hell Cannons at all of this. Very, very nice. Bounce power at about maybe 65% in our favor now. Most of the units that were around the Feral Carnosaur have started to take quite a bit of damage, though we still haven't quite made our way through the breach. The enemy just keeps sending troops there, including these Ripperdactyls. They're going to join our heroes with their Manticores together with the Iron Demon and Aspiring Champions to try to clear the way here. Also, now that it's completely apparent that the enemy will not be summoning Feral Cold Ones to annoy our Hell Cannons, it's time for our anti-large units of Chaos Warriors with their halberds to join the fray. Fortunately, the breach around the gate, or the gate itself, is not looking nearly as bad as the breach in the walls, and thus we have been able to get most of our units in there. Saurus and Skinks alike all dropping, and it looks like the enemy Carnosaur, Feral Carnosaur, has joined the fray, but with all three of our Manticores here, we shouldn't have too much of a problem bringing it down. Especially as we have plenty of spells and buffs to work with if needed, if we start taking damage. Damn. It's quite interesting seeing how sometimes the AI will put in every single effort. They will try to plug a breach at any and all costs, and then other times it just doesn't care at all and completely ignores it. I wonder what the what sort of a logic it uses to determine when it does what, as it is quite curious. Anyway, the Feral Carnosaur fails to hold the breach just like everything else did, and finally I believe that was the last unit that was there. I think one possible explanation, although I hesitate to think that the AI would actually do this on purpose, was that being close to the breach like that meant that the Fire Glaives were not able to fire down upon the units while they were fighting. But if they were directly below the walls, they are. For example, they just took the shield off and about 10% HP off of that particular slan. In the meantime, enemy units try to move towards the armored Chaos Warriors here, all while under fire both from the Fire Glaives and the Hell Cannons. Just gotta be careful about our own Hell Cannons killing off our own units while they're fighting like this. Enemy Slan is pretty much dead. In fact, know pretty much about it as all three Manticore Riders chase it down and bring it down. Of course, Slan always teleport away, just like Village 2, but, well, it serves for our purposes. Besides, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna teleport? There are few, if any, safe places left in the entire world. Alrighty, making our way up the ramp over on this side now to capture the minor supply location, but the battle is hardly over yet. We can send the Infernal Guard off of the walls, but we're going to need to make it up here as well. Look at all those units that still remain. But we still have ammunition on our Hell Cannons as well. Perhaps not all that much. And they've done plenty of damage by the looks of it so far, especially in the Soul of Damnation. Always does quite a bit more damage, doesn't it? Oh, hi, interesting. The Soul of Damnation is a tier 4, while the regular Hell Cannons are tier 2. I would have expected the 3. Interesting. I wonder what tier Skull Cannons are. I gotta check. As compared to Hell Cannons. Well, no, the Skull Cannons would have to be 3, because they can fight in melee, as well as do plenty of range damage, so I would imagine. But anyway, hardly matters. The Manticores are in the fight again. They haven't really participated, or the Manticore Riding Lords, I should say, haven't participated nearly as much as the rest of our units, mostly because, well, they were busy destroying towers and hunting single entities, like the Slan, the Saurus Hero, and the Feral Carnosaur. Our Fire Glaives have moved on in. Gonna try to get them a little bit of action here, though it looks like as we move up the ramp, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to fire upon the enemy, as we'd be running the risk of hitting our own blob. But that's alright, though. It's not like any of this is being particularly troublesome for us at this current time, regardless of the second army here. And this is why I really wanted to fight both armies, or one other reason why I wanted to fight both armies here at the same time, as fighting just the one probably wouldn't have been worth the effort. Anyway, getting some nice shots from our Iron Demon here, and the suppression, I'm sure, is helping out to slow the enemy down. Fire Glaives can now get a few volleys on the enemies as they run up that ramp. They really want to provide more fire support, but the enemies are dying in droves faster than the Fire Glaives can essentially get a beat on the enemy. There we go, some fresh units making their way down the ramp, and this is something the Fire Glaives can do. Target them directly, including the Iron Demon, which will add that lovely suppression to the enemy. Then we're going to bump up that suppression with the Melkot's Mystifying Miasma, dropping the enemy's speed down to a mere 12, and having both units of Fire Glaives fire at them at the same time. So slow, and so many units, well, maybe not so many units, but it's a lot of range damage coming in. There we go, just wanted to slow it down a little bit. Saurus are charging forth, not that the Fire Glaives are all that afraid of it. They have armor-piercing melee, after all, and fairly decent stats. Certainly capable in melee, and once again, just remembering from my own Chaos Dwarf campaign, I've certainly seen them do plenty of damage to enemies in melee as well. Anyway, those poor Saurus, half of them got gunned down as they attempted to approach, and then the rest will get shot in the back as they rout from the other troops. Nice shot from those cannonades on top of that Iron Demon, and up the ramp we go. And of course, while we were fighting down here, the Hell Cannons have been bombarding the remnants of the enemy units up on top of the walls, or those that remain, and quite effectively by the looks of it. That single shot appears to have taken like 40% HP from that poor skink cohort. It's not a great day to be a skink. Although I suppose it's not a great day to be anybody not affiliated with Chaos. as the world is pretty much down. And damn that damn tree. I really still think that artillery shots need to be able to knock down trees. Like a single artillery shot hitting a tiny little tree should delete the tree model. Or replace it with a downed tree model, and then the downed tree model should perhaps have a greater effect on slowing enemy or any enemy units traveling through it. Something along those lines. Also because it's always silly just how many shots a single tree can block, but it doesn't matter, certainly. It doesn't matter for Samot's army as the Painbringer / wannabe Trainbringer brings down this last lizard stronghold, or at least of Zlatlan, and carries the day with a heroic victory. A very nice battle, and a really long one. That one took like 15 minutes. Pretty darn happy there. Alright, very, very nice, and most definitely worth it to fight the 2 stacks rather than the 1. Lots of kills on pretty much everybody here, and the named units in this army are the Engine of Torment and the Wrath Spewer. Lovely Hell Cannon work, 50k, 50k, 35, 18, and 62, nearly 63 thou damage on those guys, and an 88k on one of the Chaos Sorcerers. Double or triple Pit of Shades certainly did a number on those enemies. Well done, and we'll occupy the place. Yes. And Zlatlan will be destroyed before they get confederated by the last defenders. Anyway, now we can definitely end the turn. I also want to point out that we've got all the techs completed as well. So yeah, this is just about as comprehensive a victory as one is likely to get. Also, I forget, was it last turn that we approached Archie 2? Or yeah, I think we need 2 turns. This end turn and then the next end turn for Archie's final battle. Plus, we'll try to find Krogar. I really hope he's not dead, but who would have killed him if he is? That's the question. Yeah, I don't really care. It's the question because he wasn't at war with... Oh, he's right there. Ooh, Feral Stegodons aplenty, is it? That looks nice. I was actually wanting to kind of send Gulator against him, and though I do wonder if he'd be willing to fight Norvegicus. This is actually kind of an interesting matchup, as all of those Feral Stegodons would be immune to the Soul Grinders. And at the end of the day, Gulator did get probably the second most play time. He's got a lot of battles under his belt, after all. Alright, well, let's take what we can reach here real quick with a couple of auto-resolves. Still have to destroy these factions, after all, and then we'll consider what we will do. You to the Serpent Coast, please. Should also be auto-resolvable. Good, good, good. Alright, I'm so glad that Krogar is alive. They've come to the wrong place. I don't even know why I keep bothering building buildings. It's just like a tick at this point. You, head to Tor Serpendar, please. And I guess sack it. We'll go this way, just in case there's another army out there. Still have to destroy the Lore Masters after all, and sack. Don't waste movement by raising. Alright, Valkia this way, Koleg this way as well. We'll send, I don't know, you, Iber, to take this. And we still have to reach the Temple Avenue of Gold as well. Oh, look at them recovering, isn't that just adorable? And, oh, we actually got a special harbor at the Fortress of Dawn. I wouldn't think that that would be applicable to Chaos. Kind of interesting. Especially considering that we did not get anything out of the Black Pyramid of Nagash. Nothing special there, but you would think it being a locus of dark magic, it would still be, at least to some degree, useful. Anyway, Gulator, go to Teotihuacan, please. And I'll resolve this. It'll be a little bit of damage. Actually, it'll be a decent bit of damage. And occupy the place. Nah, just talk about it. I was wondering whether we should sack it and move, but honestly, I think there's no need. And Gulator did basically destroy the Empire, and, well, he did a lot. He did a little bit of everything up here, so he's fine. I think we're gonna send Norvegicus after Krogar, mostly because maybe someone will finally be able to bring him down. One more chance, AI, and one more chance for Norvegicus to get tested. Now, we have Soul Grinders buffed up with Warp Fire. I guess we'll get Chaos Vanguard, and not enough to get the high rank point. I really wanted that. No dice, so well, no big deal. You, sir, are gonna go for Deadly Blade into Heroic Killing below, and I think nothing else here is important, so Blade Shield for you. Norvegicus, go to Krogar. Let's see if he'll fight, and if he will, this will be your final battle. He will run towards the Temple Avenue of Gold. Man, we could fight them at the Temple Avenue, but honestly, I feel like I'd prefer the field battle. We've got enough sieges, and the AI is just not good at sieges, let's face it. It's just not good at them. Anyway, this will be Krogar, the first time we see him, his final battle versus Norvegicus. Let's see about actually making use of those rattlings, since the last few times they weren't able to do anything. Perhaps against all of these piles of dinos, they will go. Alright, here we go. One final fight for Norvegicus, the Censor Bearer. He's been the star of the show for this campaign in the second half of the campaign, insofar or similarly to the way that Gulator Halfspawn was the star of the show for the first half. Very, very nice. Truly, this campaign was blessed by Nurgle and perhaps helped summon Tamarkan to the DLC. Who knows? Who knows? Time has no meaning in the warp. Anyway, the battle begins with us beginning our own bombardment of the enemy. Some flyers move in, but we're not so afraid of Pterodon Riders when we have our rattling guns to join. These guys are not going to take too much damage from our Soul Grinders or from our Plague Claw catapults, but at the same time, neither the Soul Grinders nor the Plague Claws have too much to fire upon in this particular battle. There's really just not a lot of infantry to deal with, so the enemy will use the massive pile of dinos to head directly towards us as well, including Krogar, though sadly for him he has a horned one mount rather than Grimlock, so a little bit sad for him. Oh, look at him shielding his face with the hand of the gods there. But anyway, Norvegicus is a little bit busy right now. He's gone for that enemy Basti with Solar Engine, or one of the Basties with Solar Engine, and we're gonna need to send somebody to deal with the other, as it's been firing upon our Chaos Warriors and damaging our Soul Grinders as well. Norvegicus, do you keep at that, my friend, while we attempt to hold the line. We're going to activate the overcharge, warp overcharge on our rattling guns and begin with them firing upon those darn dinos. This is the time for the rattling guns to shine. They have not managed to do so in most of the battles for Norvegicus' army, though there were a few where they managed to gun down a few Tomb King Lords and Cambrian War Sphinxes. They're good against constructs, and they're good against these single entity monsters. And look at that, already out of control and down to 25% HP before it even not meets, but reaches the main line. And blocked as you are like that, your HP will continue to drop, and the rattling guns will continue gunning it down. Alright, very, very nice. Dinos be dropping now. There's the first to fall. This one's next, and I think this one was also damaged by the rattlings before they switched targets. I've been, by and large, switching fire with them, and just to make sure that they don't kill off our own troops, and especially not our Soul Grinders or our or our unclean zealots slash war shrine, as they're pretty big old targets. Anyway, looking pretty good, and it looks like the AI realized the danger put by the rattling guns, or it's just Kroggar. Okay, the enemy realized the danger of the rattling guns and has sent Kroggar to deal with them, but Norvegicist has wanted to duel with Kroggar anyway, and will be sent forth to do so. We've peeled away one of our Hounds of Decay to kill off this Basti with Solar Engine, and though it's getting a little bit of help from the Fire Leech Bolas, they don't have magical damage even from the air, and will thus not be able to handle the massively physical resistant doggos. Looks like Kroggar is now distracted, so while Norvegicus locks him in place, the rattling guns can back off and continue their work killing off enemy dinos. And Crocky not looking so hot, dropping by about 15% of his HP. Norvegicus completely fine so far, and at the same time dropping Spirit Leeches. Enemy are going to now lose their Healing Crystal, or Revive Crystal. Certainly don't need that thing healing up their dinos, and with fire from both of our units of rattlings, it'll drop pretty darn quick. And so will another one of the stags. There we go. And just two of these are putting in so much work. In the meantime, Kroggar's duel against Norvegicist will continue, though by the looks of it, not too much longer, as the enemy lord is down to about half HP, and Norvegicist is more or less fine. And just doing some fancy... Do you call this... You want to call this footwork, or a wing work, maybe? Completely necessary, I'm sure. Though honestly, just the head of his big old two-handed mace is about the size of Kroggar and the horned one together. And, well, the enemy lord is still steady. Oh, not so steady no more, I bet. They just lost 1.3k HP from that hit and is now wavering. And, in fact, gets hit with another Spirit Leech as well. Kroggar looks to be just about out, but that's hardly surprising, as most of his army has now been destroyed. The rattling guns have reaped a fearsome tally of Stegodon and other dino kills, and it looks like the Soul Grinders will finish them off together with our Chaos Warriors. Looks like Crocky is done. His army decides to flee, though most of them have already been destroyed. We activate Warp Overcharge one more time, and we'll gun Kroggar down with the rattlings, while Norvegicus watches from overhead. Let's see, are you gonna escape? I don't think so. I just had to check. That's a lot of bullets coming in, and Norvegicus could always just cast the Spirit Leech and kill him off for good. But, well, considering the rattlings were absolute stars in this particular battle, and Norvegicus got the win of the duel, they could always gun the enemy down for running away like a coward. And damn, look at that bloody path he left all the way from where he retreated. Very, very nice. Alright, and there you have it, winner of the duel, Norvegicus by a mile. Granted, he used a little bit of spells, and I'm sure Kroggar would have been a lot stronger on Grimlock, but then we could have used even more spells. In addition to that, our rattling guns, including the Grandfather's Finest, certainly got a lot of work done. Usually it is the Zomborg and the Soul Grinders that are the star of the show for Norvegicust's army, but in this particular case, the rattling guns gunned down so many of those dinos. Worked out real well for him, and that's exactly what I was hoping for the final battle for this army. Since it is also the final battle, we may as well... Oh. I guess you have to auto-resolve that. We could do that next turn. And yeah, melee defense plus 10. Even more melee defense, making Norvegicus even tankier. Not necessary anymore. Damn, he cost 1.1k. Not necessary anymore, but still, nice. To name his units, Lords of Silence, the Bogwalkers, Trenchfoot, Tarnished Legion, the Unclean Zealot, Sick of the Litter, Slobbering Sickness, Hounds... Okay, that was just Hounds of Decay, the Zomborg, and the Scatapults. Well done, Norvegicus. quick little auto-resolve for you, quick little auto-resolve for Valkia, which will happen, I guess, next turn. Just gotta double-check that I haven't... I did not move Archie. That would have been unfortunate. And go, my friend. All the way to Nagashazar. I assume you can reach it in over the next turn. Anyway, skip. It's not like there are any enemies that can actually hit us anymore, as there are no armies that remain. Oh, but this guy's still moving around a little bit. Didn't you do that last turn? I swear he did. Oh, well. And Glut of Souls. Really, you know what? I don't think there's a Glut of Souls anymore, because we got all the souls. The world is out of souls, basically. Where are we gonna get them except our own allies? And realistically, yes, we would turn upon our own allies, but yeah, you know. Alrighty, the last factions. Temple Avenue. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Can we... This guy's gonna survive just by being here. Well, that's just annoying. Oh, alright, fine. 1 second, how to resolve this? Sack it, don't bother subjugating them. And after sacking it, nah, you still can't reach that. I like to bet they'll attempt to besiege us, though. Valkia try to move towards this. So close. Alright, you take the Temple Avenue of Gold. And I'll resolve that as well. It wasn't going to. There we go. Last Defenders destroyed. Very aptly named, as theirs was the last faction, other than the clan Carrion, which we purposely saved to stand. And yeah, these guys are they're dead. Okay, they're dead. Just to double check here, only clan Carrion and Order of Lore Masters. Beautiful, and beautiful. Archie, my friend. It's time for your last fight. Now, I guess, well, you know what? It's the rats, and this army ain't... I mean, it can chase. I'm just wondering whether we should go field battle or siege battle. Siege battle runs the risk of a desync, so I think we still try field battle. And honestly, siege battle would actually be easier. So let's try field first. Archie, why not hit harder? Woundmaker, Indomitable, and Scarred Vet. If we wanted to, we could get you more spells, but honestly, you've been doing so much damage with your Searing Dooms and your Burning Heads, it's not like you really need it. Honestly, I'm inclined to do this. Woundmaker, Indomitable, and rather than Scarred Vet, we'll get 1 point in Burning Head, 1 point in Searing Doom. And frankly, we do occasionally use Spirit Leech, but honestly, Archie hits so hard that he doesn't really ever need it. Let's get 1 more point in Scarred Vet. Get him a little bit of that extra HP. Anyway, oh, I guess we have to level everybody up here. I got used to not doing that on screen, and damn, Prince Okrax, you've certainly racked up a decent amount. Spell Resistance, Raging Stalwart, I'm just gonna get that because, well, who knows. The enemy is liable to drop Warp Lightnings on us. Let's not get any unnecessary damage. Scarvet on you. Devastating Charge and Thick-Skinned, and 1 point in Hero. Not that you really need Retinue Train or anything, but Indomitable is hardly necessary either. You, sir. Deadly Blade. Aura of Chaos, Scarred Vet, Carry the Hammer, and Devastating Charge. Let's get you Devastating Charge, I guess. None of this being particularly needed. I mean, we could get the Aura, but is Archie's army really threatened by anything? I don't think so. Fated Protector to get Archie replenishing even faster. And you know what? Let's get you Spell Slinger. I do like that while spell slinging that you do with your blue fires. Infernal Champion in case you actually need to fight on occasion. Let's get 1 point in Treason of Tzeentch as well. The Lesser, you sir. 9 points on you. Scarred Vet, Pestilent Perseverance, and Aura of Chaos. 1 point in Hard to Hit. Maxes you out as far as we're concerned. You sir. Speed, eh? Not that much speed. And our knights are pretty quick. You know what, I'm gonna still go Slaanesh Soul Feeder. Thing is, these guys are still very vulnerable to everything, so why risk it, right? Melkoth's Penumbral Pendulum and Smoke and Mirrors, but it's Occam's Mind Eraser that we want on you, and that's why we got you as a Shadow Sorcerer rather than a Slaanesh Sorcerer. Anyway, let's see about this last faction. on the map. Don't call your allies to help. Will they fight on the field? Yes, they will. A close victory, and it is Nagashazar's garrison, so it's the toughest garrison, and probably the... well, I don't know if it'll be the hardest fight Archaon will have ever fought, but it should be pretty decent. Those poison wind mortars, lots of mutant rat ogres and others such and potentially devastating things to fight. Hell pit abominations, artillery pieces, lovely. Away we go one last time. Alrighty, here we go. The last battle of the campaign, as Archie's quote said in the start of the of this battle, by Khorne, by Tzeentch, by Nurgle and Slaanesh, let the world come crashing down. And Archie is going to start the battle off as he always does, heading away from the rest of our army to fight the enemy forces, charging that Hell Pit Abomination and taking... so that was really quick. That was like 2 seconds and it loses about 4,000 HP. Very, very nice. And Archie hits for about 1.5k weapon strength, which is pretty darn solid. As we saw last episode, in the semi-final episode, it's a little bit less in terms of just direct weapon strength compared to Kuchar, the Blood Hunter, but it does seem, once again, that Archie does do more damage in practice, if not on paper, just because he attacks so fast. He doesn't need 2 axes to do this sort of thing, and damn, this Hell Pit Abomination is dropping real quick, regardless of the wolf rats and such that the enemy has moved in to help, or the mutant rat ogre. And it's a pretty solid contest for Archie here, but it's not the only thing happening. There was an assassin lord running around in the Chronicler and just guns him down with his machine gun blue fires, as he tends to do. We've seen him do that before, and I'm willing to bet we'll see it again. Archie brings down the Hell Pit Abomination and turns to the mutant rat ogre, and Chronicler wouldn't dare to interrupt the duel, and that's why he went after the cowardly little rat assassin. And we'll follow up by going after the cowardly Packmaster here, who, rather than trying to fight Archaon, is instead summoning those wolf rats. Fear the blue fires, a little Packmaster. An attempt to escape on that brood core of yours, but alas, the fourth blow or fourth use of the blue fires will bring you down. And very, very nice. So you're gonna fall and the brood core will explode. There we go, very nice, and it looks like the Packmaster exploded as well. Anyway, Archie will continue his duel against the enemy mutant rat ogre, but it looks like they're broken as well, and Archie has suffered a little bit of damage himself, and is gonna need a little bit of time to recover his barriers. Another Packmaster is moving in, but we already know that these guys kind of refuse to fight directly in melee. Ow! I lied. Okay, he moved in melee. Well, this was just as bad of an idea because Archie just hit you even harder than the blue fires did. And down you go, sir. Oh, either you run around and you get killed by blue fires, or you get killed by the Slayer of Kings. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's just a day in the life of a Skaven, I suppose. Anyway, or a Bretonnian peasant. The peasant Kate from the King Lewin campaign will never die. Anyway. Time to reposition ourselves for the big old portion of this battle. The enemy elites have arrived. Look at all those high chevron units, all those artillery pieces. The poison wind mortars and Jezzails and stuff definitely need to be a concern. We're going to pop at least one damaging spell through the blob of Skaven just to clear out the chaff a little bit, as the Firestorm Tzeentch can hopefully dish out some damage and allow Archie to make his way through the blob and towards the enemy lord, while more blue fire spam targets the some of the heroes. I mean, Archie's going to kill them even if the blue fires don't, but he's also a busy High Marshal of the Apocalypse. Alright, a Chitter Skull is gonna book it on out of there after Archie is done with his duel, and fine, if you're gonna run from Archie, and then we can simply shoot you in the back with those blue fires. Very, very nice, and Archie gets another hero. Well, he's having fun. It's time for the rest of our units to have a little fun as well. Our Chaos Knights have moved into the fray and used their mass to get through as many of the enemy melee troops, ignoring by and large those that are engaged with our own melee, and going for those Poison Wind Globadiers and Mortars and whatever else they can find, like these piles of Gutter Runners. Out here, we have a separate little, well, mini battle, I guess, a unit of Aspiring Champions. The Eightfold Swords and this unit of Chosen with great weapons are holding off a pile of Storm Vermin with sword and shield, and are working together with the Great Chaos Dragon. Oh, there's some Plague Monks here as well. Nice little blob, but, well, I'd say we probably have to give it to our own units. Of course, we also have Harry the Hammer here, who is, I believe, attempting to target one of the bigger enemy units in here somewhere. Yeah, he's always very hard to spot because he's such a small entity. But he's trying to kill off the enemy Plague Priest and the Hellpit Abomination as well. There we go. At least when he uses his ability with that Chaos Star upon the ground, he's very easy to spot. The Giants, of course, targeting the Hellpit Abominations as well, which is a fairly nice contest. But judging by, there we go, judging by the regeneration activation of that particular abomination, it was already ready to go down. Well done to the giant, and the melee troops are looking pretty good. Balance of power shifts to about 70% in our favor. Archie continues dropping spells while he works on the enemy elites and destroying probably droves of rats with his Searing Dooms. And joining the fray and fighting a little bit together with his Swords of Chaos and his Chaos Knights in general. And hey, there's the Fester Fume Chargers. And there, the Swords of Chaos are right here as well. And beautiful. Alright, looks like more artillery have arrived on the field, some Plague Claw catapults, but not to worry, we send the Craven Companions, our Slaneshi units, into the fray. And that'll prevent these guys from firing and dish out plenty of damage, I'm sure. Despite the massive number of Skaven arrayed against us, it looks like the battle is pretty much ours. Harry the Hammer has found himself a nice abomination to duel, can't let the giants do all the work, and it looks like the abomination is just about done for. And how's Harry looking? 19 kills and 24k damage, very respectable. And he's hitting for 1k as well with 97 melee attack. And one more hit, or maybe two more hits, depending on how that regeneration holds up. Trying to use its mass to knock Harry back, but that's not good enough, and the abomination will fall as well. With the abominations fall and the escape of the enemy units of catapults, it looks like the battle, and just like that, is ours. I was considering whether we should fight this on the field or whether we should fight it in the settlement, but I once again think that the settlement battle would have been easier. Plus, honestly, a settlement battle is something Archie could have probably cleared on his own. I mean, we could have just used Archaon by himself in the settlement, just repeatedly casting Burning Head and Searing Doom while obliterating all the rats. But we've sort of done that sort of thing against goblin armies and such before, and I wanted everybody to play, and they play better on the field, let's face it, than in the settlement battles. Anyway, just to name the units one more time, the Heralds of the Everchosen, Aspiring Champions, well, we've seen Hugin of Hate and Munin of Misery, the Lesser Charon the Black, we've got the... where are we here? Knights of the Tome, Tzeentch Chaos Knights, Prince Ograx, we know, the Craven Companions, and the Fester Fume Chargers. These are my favorite names for the Chaos Knights that were suggested for this particular campaign, and that's why Archie got them, or at least those ones that could fit. Obviously, we only had one of each unit. Oh, and the Blood Guard of Prince Ograx. I just don't remember where they are on the field. They're somewhere around. Anyway, no real need to do Well, actually, maybe a little bit of a need to do a chase, and hey, that just means more blue fire spam, but whatever. Alright, which one idiot managed to get themselves killed during the final battle? Looks like it was one of the Chosen with great weapons, and it was killed by the Storm Vermin with sword and shield. I was wondering if it was the enemy or whether it was, well, ourselves that did it with friendly fire of probably spells, but yeah, good job. One Storm Vermin. You did well. You did better than everybody else, apparently. And of course, well done to Archie, 86k damage and 287 kills. The Chronicler hunting down those enemy lords and heroes with that blue fire spam, classic and his signature move for this particular campaign. Harry the Hammer got to duel an enemy Hell Pit Abomination while leading our infantry contingent, while our cavalry contingent all did tons and tons of damage, hovering between 20, 30, and 40k. And of course our giants, Hugin of Hate and Munin of Misery, managed to kill off the single target entities as they liked, though I think we were just a little bit short of getting the Chaos Giant Roar in terms of them spending time in melee, but that's alright. Fantastic. Kill all those captives, and we will auto-resolve Nagashazar for ourselves, destroying Clan Carrion. Subjugating Clan Carrion. Now, I mean, funnily enough, I know the Rod of Torment. Well, not gonna be able to use that now. Funnily enough, we did keep Clan Scryer alive in the sense that they're our vassals, so they can still drop their moon, and, well, that may happen. Anyway, I'm gonna end the turn real quick. You need to die. You need to die or it's not complete. And you march stanced all the way. Okay, why did you move away in the first place? What was the point of that? Alright, blah 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 blah. Everybody gets path to glory. Valkia, you get the honors because you basically destroyed this faction yourself anyway. Alright, and just to make sure, Order of Lore Masters destroyed, all objectives complete, and more importantly, diplomacy. The only diplomacy available is the trade agreements that we don't have with our vassals. Oh, it looks so strange to have the diplomacy screen look like this. Well, there we go, folks. That's it. That's all. Thus did the Dark Gods conquer the entire world. A very, very comprehensive victory. Definitely one of the most comprehensive on this channel, as we got all the victory types and full conquest, and all the quests and all the techs, everything out of the way. All factions on the map that were not our vassals were destroyed, and we got to try out most things that we wanted to try out with army compositions and with unit types and that sort of thing. Whiffed on a few, like the Doom Knights, as it just needs too much XP to upgrade them. Really got to start with going through to the Doom Knights with an army that is much more likely to be fighting a lot, but that's okay. I don't mind that so much because at the end of the day, if playing once as this faction allowed you to do literally everything, why would anyone ever play the faction again as other Chaos Lords? You know what I mean? There's still room to play others. Anyway, folks, thanks for sticking with this epic long-form campaign. I'm probably not going to be doing the super long forms too often nowadays, because let's face it, the interest isn't really there, even though I personally enjoy playing it this way. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one, and well, the occasional times I will drop super long ones like this. There were certainly a lot of very memorable characters out of this campaign, and I would say that Norvegicist, Gulator, and Kuchar the Blood Hunter were definitely the big standouts, but let me know your favorite lords, heroes, and units. Most of all, I'm going to have to make a decision on who we will keep forever in the community canon on this channel, and I'd like your guys' thoughts on the matter. Anyway, more Total War always to come around here, and glory to Archaon, glory to you guys, and glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.